So, Teofimo Lopez loses to George Kambosos in a very, very good fight. A war, I call it. It was a very good fight, a very entertaining fight, and I definitely enjoyed it. But yeah, Teofimo Lopez loses in a shock upset. In an upset. I believe he was a 13-1 underdog coming to this fight, Kambosos. So yeah, he did well to outpoint Teofimo. And yeah, let's get into it. This video I'm gonna be pretty much talking about the fight, the aftermath of the fight, like the post-fight interviews that what Teofimo Lopez said in his interview, in his post-fight interview, and what his dad said as well, and also going to be touching on what Kambosos said in the post-fight interview as well, and what's next for each fighter, what's next for Teofimo Lopez, and what's next for Kambosos. I'll be delving into that as well a little bit. But let's start off with prior to the fight. Well, prior to the fight, when the fight was first going to be happening, which was around June, July, because this fight's been rescheduled like 100 times. Like a million times this fight's been rescheduled. It's ridiculous. I think I had problems to do with that network and things like that. I believe Triller didn't want to put the fight on their network or something like that. It was something like that. It might not be exactly that, but something like that. But yeah, this fight's been rescheduled so many times. And yeah, like at certain points, I thought like this fight wasn't going to be happening because of the amount of times it had been rescheduled. But it eventually happened. Now it happened on the weekend, and when this fight was first supposed to be happening around, I believe, June of this year or April, I might have got the months wrong. But when it was first announced, and in the lead up coming into the fight, I had a weird feeling about it. Honestly, I had my gut instinct was telling me, this is not going to go the way that most people are expecting it to go. Do you know what I mean? Just Teofimo's energy looked a bit off. He looked a bit, obviously you want to see fighters confident going into a fight, but he looked a bit, I don't know, the way he was talking, the way he was moving, he didn't look fully focused. He looked a bit complacent to me. Going into the fight when the fight was first meant to be happening, and even coming into the fight this time. But one thing I noticed is, and by the way, Devin Haney spoke about that as well, that Teofimo's energy looks a bit off. So I concur with Haney's statements. But I thought his energy looked off even when the fight was supposed to be happening earlier this year. And as well, it looked off coming into the when the fight was rescheduled and when the fight happened last weekend. In the lead up to the fight, on the weekend, like his energy still looked a bit off. So yeah, he didn't look focused. He looked a bit complacent coming into the fight. The way he was talking, the way he was acting, and Kambosos as well. One thing that not too many people have spoken about, Kambosos, his energy looked very, very focused. He had that extremely driven, focused, tunnel vision, ambitious look about him. Like I could tell his confidence wasn't fake confidence. Because you see many underdogs coming into fights and they say, I'm gonna win this, I'm gonna shock the world, all that talk. But deep down, you can kind of get a feeling that they don't really believe what they're saying. But I didn't get that feeling with Kambosos. I got the feeling where he actually genuinely believed the stuff he was talking about. So coming into the fight, when the fight was supposed to be happening in June, well, around that time, I actually thought that, like, I didn't pick a winner. You know what I mean? Because I just thought in my head, I haven't seen too much of Kambosos, but at the same time, Teofimo Lopez, he beat Lomachenko, he's looking good, but his energy looks off, and Kambosos' energy looks about right. He looks ready, focused, driven. So I just thought that an upset kind of was in the cards. I didn't predict it. I wouldn't go as far as say I predicted it, but I just thought that something might happen here. Something weird might happen here. It wouldn't surprise me if Kambosos won. That's what I was thinking coming into the fight when it was supposed to be happening in June. But then it got rescheduled, and I was really looking forward to it. When it was supposed to be happening earlier this year, but unfortunately it got rescheduled, and it was supposed to happen a few months later. Again, it got rescheduled, and it got rescheduled again and again. It was ridiculous. I thought, you know what, I don't really care about this fight anymore. Probably not going to happen. So when it was scheduled again for November 27th, I wasn't looking forward to it as much as I was when it was supposed to be happening, when it was first scheduled to be on June or around that time of the year. Like, I wasn't looking forward to it as much. And again, I didn't really make a prediction. In my head, I was thinking, I didn't make a prediction video, but in my head, I was thinking, do you know what? Teofimo probably will win. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too much of Kambosos because I only saw short highlights of the Mickey Bay fight and the other guy fought Lee Selby. I only saw short highlights of that, and from that he looked pretty basic to me. He didn't really look impressive, and I wasn't really watching too many of the pre-fight. Obviously, I know what happened in the pre-fight interviews coming up to the 27th, but I wasn't really watching them too much. I wasn't really too focused on it. Do you know what I mean? Because the fight had been rescheduled so many times, I had kind of lost interest in the fight. So I wasn't really looking at both fighters' body language as much as I was. Do you know what I mean? But even then, though, I was still looking at the body language of both fighters a little bit. And Teofimo still looked a bit off, like Heaney said. He still looked a bit like there was a lack of focus there and a lack of drive there. And I believe that he's really been a bit complacent since that Lomachenko win. The Lomachenko win has got to his head a little bit. Like, don't get it twisted. He won the fight. It wasn't no robbery. It was a very good win. He was the underdog. Tremendous win, but it's one win at the end of the day. And I feel like he lost that fire that he had, that focus that he had. Because prior to the Lomachenko fight, he had that. But since that fight, he's been really, really complacent and he's let it get to his head a little bit. So yeah, coming to the fight on the 27th, I thought that I wasn't really making a prediction, but I did think that Teofimo's energy was a bit off. But I did still think that he was going to win. Yeah, I mean, I did still think that he was going to win coming into the fight on the weekend. So the fight starts now. I'm thinking Teofimo's probably going to win, probably going to get this, because I didn't really rate Kambosos too highly. And like I said, I gave Kambosos more of a chance of winning if the fight had happened in June. Because back then I was more interested in the fight and I was really observing and analysing both fighters' body language a lot more than I was coming into the fight. And than I was coming into the fight on the weekend. So I would have given Kambosos more of a chance back then. But now, coming to the fight in the weekend now, it's been rescheduled so many times. And I had lost interest in the fight and I wasn't really looking at what both fighters' body language and analysing it as much in depth as I was the first time. So I just thought to myself, Teofimo, his energy looks a bit off. There's a bit of lack of focus there and Kambosos looks driven and focused. But I still think Teofimo will probably win. I don't know why. Probably win. He's the favourite. Yeah, I mean, probably get the job done. Kambosos didn't look too impressive against Selby. And yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. But boy, like that was I was very surprised when Kambosos knocked Teofimo Lopez down. Like that's something that I didn't really envisage. Honestly, that's something I didn't envisage, that for Teofimo to knock Kambosos down. I mean, for Kambosos to knock Teofimo down, which he did in the first round. Because the first round, I mean, Teofimo had pretty much no respect for Kambosos, which was the wrong idea. He let ego and pride get to his head. And as the common adage is, pride comes before a fall. And as a fighter, don't get it twisted, you need a certain amount of pride. You need a certain amount of ego to reach the highs in boxing, to achieve great things. You need a certain amount of cockiness, a certain amount of ego. You need it. But you need to tread carefully with it. You don't want your ego and pride to go too high to the point where you're having no respect for your opponents in the ring. Never mind respect outside the ring and trash talking. I'm not talking about that. I mean respect in the ring. Like you don't want your pride and ego to be too high to the point where you have no respect for your opponent in the ring. And that's what happened to Teofimo. And that's what led to his demise, really. Because he had no respect for Kambosos, coming in there, loading up on the right hand, swinging for the fences. Like, at the highest level, against these opponents, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. He should have fought in an assertive, but a measured, calculated manner, which he, like when he fought against Lomachenko. But in this fight, especially in the first 3 rounds, he was out there being hella reckless. Like, what was he doing? And he got punished for it. Like, he really did get punished for it. With a brilliant... Kambosos slipped Teofimo's jab. Yeah, Kambosos slipped Teofimo's jab and threw a brilliant overhand right over the top of the jab and knocked Teofimo Lopez down with a good shot. It was kind of like a flash knockdown, but a good knockdown nonetheless. Teofimo wasn't madly hurt, but he was a bit surprised. You could tell he was surprised. And he smiled a little bit, and Teofimo Lopez had a look of embarrassment. Like, you know when people smile, but you can tell their smile was not genuine? It's a smile of embarrassment. That's what Teofimo had. Like, he was smiling in his corner while his nose was bloody many times, but you can tell from his body language, from the way he was smiling, that it wasn't a genuine smile. He wasn't in control. He was trying to give the facade that he was in control, that the fight's going the way he wants it to be going, but it wasn't. it was a smile of embarrassment. Really, he was trying to hide the fact that he was embarrassed through smiling. The smiling was merely a defense mechanism. That's what it was. So that's what he was doing, come in, especially in the early rounds, smiling when he's going back to his corner. And you have to give his dad some criticism too, because the advice he was giving to his son in the corner was terrible. He was just saying, "Knock this guy out, knock this guy out," but at the same time, he was contradicting himself as well. He was saying calm down, but he was speaking in a in a way that was totally opposite to that. Yeah, I mean, he's speaking in a way that was totally antithetical to that. Like, he's saying calm down, but he's really animated in the corner, saying knock this guy out. Yeah, like it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, the advice it was given in the corner was pretty poor. It was pretty poor. No technical or strategic points that he was giving to his son, really. And he wasn't really telling his son how to set up the big shots. He wasn't telling his son to just calm down and box. Just box this guy. Don't worry about trying to land the big shots. That's what he should have been telling his son, as well as giving him strategic and technical points. But he wasn't doing any of that. Like, people criticize Tunde Ajayi's corner work, and I believe that's one of Tunde Ajayi's flaws. His corner work isn't great, but I don't think Tunde Ajayi is a bad trainer. I just think in terms of corner work, his advice is not the best. But people criticize his corner work. But Lopez Senior makes Tunde Ajayi look like a prime Emmanuel Stewart, like, with his corner work. Like, seriously, like, Teofimo Lopez, the seniors, his corner work was terrible. But also as well, with Lopez, he's got good athleticism, good speed, good power, but he hasn't got the boxing IQ to match it, and it really showed in this fight. He couldn't make adjustments to what Kambosos was doing. Really couldn't. Like, Kambosos was consistently landing that right hand, setting out behind the jab, landing the left hook brilliantly as well, outboxing him, especially in the middle rounds. I wasn't scoring the fight, but in the middle rounds, he was really, really outboxing Teofimo, like with the jab, with the 1-2 left hook landing, and Teofimo just kept looking for that one big shot. He wasn't really trying to disguise it or set it up in a sophisticated way. He wasn't. Just looking for the big shot. And yeah, he was just embarrassing there, and he was getting outboxed, really. And with Kambosos, like, he did a good job. He's better than I thought he was. But at the same time, I still believe that there's certain things that other fighters can exploit from him. For example, sometimes he can be a bit predictable with his combinations. Like, he consistently kept throwing that jab where he would jab, and at the same time he'd move to his left to create an angle. And he would go for jab, left hook, while moving to his left. And he kept doing it at the same time. And don't get it twisted, it was working in this fight. But against different opponents, different styles, and against better opponents, against opponents that can adjust more, he needs to vary his offense a little bit more, be a bit more creative with his offense, be a bit more creative with his combinations. Because he kept throwing that same combination, and against a better opponent, they're gonna realize what he's doing, clock onto it, and make a counter adjustment to prevent him from landing that shot. And that counter adjustment could be a really good counter punch. So I feel like he does need to vary his offense more in the future. Even though it did work in this fight, just because something works in this fight doesn't mean it's going to work in a subsequent fight. So he does need to vary his offense a bit more. That's what I would say. Don't always go jab, left hook. Don't get it twisted. That's not the only combination he was throwing, but he still needs to vary it a bit more, I would say. A bit more variation in that offense. But in terms of Teofimo, he needs to improve his boxing IQ and his boxing skill, really. Because he's got some good raw talent there. Like I said, he's got good athleticism, good fast feet, good fast hands, but he just needs to work on his boxing IQ, setting up the big shots more, and just his boxing brain, really. One thing that did kind of surprise me in this fight was how good of a counter puncher Kambosos is. He's a better counter puncher than Teofimo, and Teofimo is a good counter puncher himself. He showed good counter punching ability when he fought Richard Comey, and even against Lomachenko at certain spots as well. But Kambosos was a better counter puncher, which did kind of surprise me. But yeah, Kambosos is definitely better than I thought he was. And he's a good fighter overall. He's a good fighter. Teofimo, he needs to work on his boxing brain, just certain technical things he does. When I say technical things, I mean like adjustments. Just improving in the subtleties of the sport, the nuances of the sport, setting up big shots, knowing how to make adjustments to what your opponent's doing as the rounds go by. And obviously his corner work didn't really help him do that as well. So you gotta blame him. Teofimo Junior, but you've also got to blame the cornerback, because the cornerback was absolutely terrible, absolutely atrocious. So he deserves criticism there. So they both deserve criticism, Senior and his dad. But also as well, like I said earlier, like it needs to have a bit more respect for his opponent in the ring. Really, don't come out there trying to swing for the fences, like as if you're fighting a bum. Do you know what I mean? This is not a bum bit of fighting. This is a at the very least, he's a decent fighter. So you can't just come in there doing that, and that wasted his energy as well. And yeah, pretty much those mid rounds, Kambosos was just outboxing him. In the later rounds, Kambosos started to tire a little bit. He started to tire, and Teofimo kind of got into the fight a bit more, started landing a bit more, and he knocked Kambosos down. Kambosos wasn't badly hurt, but it was a good knockdown nonetheless. And he got up, and you got the impression that if Teofimo had a bit more energy, and obviously it's his fault that he didn't have the energy because he wasted it in the first round trying to knock Kambosos out. But if he had a bit more energy, I'm not saying he would have stopped Kambosos, but he might have landed a few more shots, do you know what I mean? But he was a bit tired in that round 10, so he didn't really have the energy to really go for it as much as he wanted to go for it. But credit to Kambosos as well for surviving and showing good survival instincts as well, holding when he needs to hold, moving his head, making sure he didn't get hit too clean after that knockdown. So credit to Kambosos as well for surviving that round, and most people believe that he won the last couple of rounds. Again, I wasn't scoring the fight, but yeah, that's what most people believe. He won the last couple of rounds. And by the end of the fight, in my head, I'm thinking, it was a close fight, but I feel like Kambosos did enough to win. That's what I was thinking. Because I wasn't scoring any of the rounds. I was just enjoying the fight. Just enjoying it because it was a brilliant fight. But I got the feeling that Kambosos just about did enough to win. And so, yeah, and my gut instinct was that Kambosos was going to get it by a split decision. Like, no word of a lie. I'm not lying at all. Seriously. That's what I was thinking after the fight. After the fight was done, my gut feeling, my gut instinct was telling me, the judges are going to give it to Kambosos by a split decision. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was feeling. And obviously, that's exactly what happened. So, credit to Kambosos for showing good composure after he got knocked down and to win the last couple of rounds as well, landing good shots, causing a cut in Teofimo Lopez's eye. And I believe that cut was through punches. It wasn't through a headbutt. Well, I'm not too sure, but that's what I think was the case. So credit to George Kambosos, and obviously he outpointed and he got the win. So yeah, and he now becomes the unified lightweight champion. And I want to see him against Devin Haney now for the undisputed if Haney gets past Jojo Diaz. Right now, I would pick Haney to beat Kambosos. I do think he's a bit more versatile. Kambosos is a good fighter, don't get it twisted. He's better than what I thought he was. But at the same time, I had never really seen much of Kambosos prior to the Lopez fight. I'd only seen 2-minute highlights from the Selby fight and like a 1-minute highlight from the Bay fight. So I didn't really see too much of him. If I'd seen more of him, I probably would have had a more accurate assessment of how good he was, his strengths and weaknesses, etc. But like I said, I didn't really see too much of him. But from what I saw from the very, very short highlights, I thought he was okay. But from what I saw in the ring against Teofimo, yeah, he's better than what I thought. But I still think Haney right now would beat him. I think Haney's a bit more dynamic, a bit more versatile. I'd pick Haney to beat him. But my prediction on that could change though if the fight gets scheduled and nearing close, when we're close to the fight. My prediction, my assessment of that, my outlook on that fight could change. Like I could end up thinking, Kambosos might beat Haney, but right now I pick Haney to beat him. But like I said, credit to Kambosos becoming the unified champ. And let's get onto the post-fight antics now, which was crazy. Like Teofimo Lopez, Jr. Like he was like, my man was saying oh, I won 15 rounds. Oh no, I won 12 rounds. Oh no, I won 11 rounds. I don't know, I won 10 rounds. Like, obviously, I'm exaggerating, but he might as well have said that. Man got hit so hard, like he forgot how many rounds there are in the fight. Saying he won 11-2, oh no, 10-2. Oh yeah, he got hit so hard he forgot how many rounds there were. But yeah, he was saying he won 10 rounds to 2, which is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way he won. There's absolutely no way he won 10 rounds to 2. Like he was smoking something he shouldn't be smoking. Seriously. Because how he's saying he won 10 rounds, yeah, he's delusional. And that's what Kambosos pointed out, which was quite funny. He was like, "Oh, I think you need to move up, mate, because you're a bit delusional." That's what he said. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, what is he smoking? What is he smoking? Um, yeah, I think he got hit a little bit too hard there, because there's no way he won 10 rounds. I wasn't scoring the fight, but yeah, there's no way. Kambosos won that fight. It was close, but like I said, I got the impression Kambosos won, and he offered Teofimo Lopez a rematch, but you could tell by Lopez's body language that he doesn't want any more of that smoke. He doesn't want any more of that smoke. He doesn't. He doesn't want no smoke. Yeah, like he wants to move up and weight, and he doesn't want a rematch. I could just tell, because yeah, he lost the fight. Definitely lost the fight, and he needs to stop being a sore loser. Because he's like, oh, I won 11-2, 10-2. Oh, they've been weight draining me. I had this issue going on and that issue going on. My goldfish died. My cat died. My dog died. I've been at 135 pounds for 22 years. Like some of the things he was saying, like, but I'm not a sore loser though. I'm not a sore loser. Like he'll say all that and say, oh, I'm not a sore loser. Like it's ridiculous. And again, obviously I'm exaggerating, but he might as well have said that. The way he was making excuses, like saying, "Oh, they've been draining me. They've been draining me. I've been wanting to move up. They've been draining me." Who the hell is they? Like you wanted to fight at 135 pounds. You were the fighter. Do you know what I mean? You have a full, like you make the decision on whether you what weight class you want to fight at. So don't make excuses now, saying that the weight is an excuse when you weren't saying the weight was an issue in any other fights. You were saying, "Oh, I'm so good to make the weight, and I'm cool to make the weight," but now you want to say the weight is an issue. No one forced you to fight at that weight, so take your defeat on the chin and move on, rather than making excuses saying, "Oh, the weight was an issue." No one forced you to fight at that weight. You could have moved up. You could have moved up. So yeah, terrible excuses he's making, and talking about the weight and stuff like that. And then he'll say, "I'm not a sore loser, but they robbed me, but the weight was an issue, but I'm not a sore loser." Get the hell out of here, man. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, so saying I'm not a sore loser, but then proceeds to make excuses. So very classless from Lopez, and yeah. So but yeah, very classless from Lopez, but Kambosos, he deserved a win, and yeah, he called Lopez out on it, called Lopez delusional, and I'm glad he did that, because he was being delusional. And I heard that Teofimo Lopez Senior now did a post-fight interview with Radio Raheem, and he said that he pretty much concurred with his son's statement that he won 10 rounds, which is again absolutely ridiculous, saying he won 10 rounds and then saying that his son was robbed, and yeah, just absolutely ridiculous, really. Again, like people say Ajayi is deluded, and people say Tunde Ajayi is deluded and arrogant, but this guy makes Tunde Ajayi look like the most level-headed, humble guy ever. So yeah, it's ridiculous what Lopez Senior was saying. And yeah, Kambosos deserved the win. He outboxed Lopez in the middle rounds. Most people's cards, he won the late rounds, and the early rounds were quite close. Obviously, but he did get 10-8 round in the first round. But rounds 2 and 3 were quite close. But like I said, Kambosos definitely did enough to win the fight. So credit to him, winning in a shock upset and becoming the unified champ. And Teofimo, he got humbled, because yeah, his pride and his ego. Like I said, you need pride and ego in boxing to achieve great things. So you do need a certain amount of that, but you got to be careful with it. You don't want it to get too high, to the point where you start getting complacent before fights. You start having no respect for your opponent in the ring and stuff like that. And that's what happened to Teofimo. So yeah, this result, it's definitely gonna, well, it should humble him now, humble him to an extent. Obviously, you don't want it to humble him too much, because for him to achieve his full potential, he still needs a certain amount of pride and ego. So you don't want him to humble him too much, but for his benefit, it should have humbled him at least a little bit. It should have calmed him down a little bit. It should have humbled him a little bit. And yeah, he needs to make certain improvements, because his dad's corner work was terrible. So maybe that relationship with his dad, I don't know if it's the right thing going forward. But yeah, that's it for this post-fight review. It was a very, very entertaining fight, a war. Both fights got knocked down. Both fights got bloodied. Yeah, a great fight. But yeah, that's it for my post-fight review. And yeah, guys, if you've liked the video, if you've got this far in the video, give it a like. if you've enjoyed it, and if you want to see more content from myself, if you want to see more content from Outlook Boxing, give it a subscribe as well. Hit that subscribe button. But yeah, that's it for this video, and until next time.